But now we have a keynote, building an MVP with blockchain. Do we have Martin here? Yay! Welcome him. Please give a wonderful round of applause. Thank you to the amazing jury. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, this is pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. The green one goes front, right?
Yes, that's simple enough, I guess.
Good luck, Martin.
Thank you. This is not my slides, by the way. I mean, I can experiment. I guess, yeah. Sure. I mean, there's like some added value there, but OK, no worries. If you can get it up and running, that would be great. If not, that's fine. No? OK. No, OK, no worries. This is exactly what they always teach you at all the accelerators. Be ready to talk without slides. So here I am, a living proof of that's true. Be ready for that. So I'm here to talk about MVPs. Having gone through Techstars and EDC Labs accelerators in the States and having built quite a few MVPs for early stage startups, I think there are a couple of things that entrepreneurs typically misunderstand about what does an MVP really mean. So I'm here to address some of those things and tell you my experiences and tell you where I think you can improve if you're an early stage startup creating an MVP. Oh, nice. So first thing that repeats no matter where I go, it's the same in the States, it's the same here in Europe, is that most entrepreneurs suck at MVPs. I know that you don't want to hear that, but most entrepreneurs suck at MVPs. They typically overcomplicate things. They typically build out too many features. Most of the features that are not requested by anyone, no one ever needs them, but they build out anyways. They ship too late, partly because they want to ship more features. But that's not correct. And by the way, according to CB Insights, MVPs are super crucial for the success of your startup, because an MVP is a way, essentially what it is, it's a way to test your most critical assumptions before you go out and build your full-fledged product, right? Actually, according to CB Insights, more than 42% of all startups that fail because they established that there's simply no market need for the product that they were building. Think about that. 42% of startups that fail just build something for months, maybe years, only to find out that they were wrong about their most critical assumption. The assumption being that, hey, there are people wanting to use the product that I'm building. So that's just one metric that I always look at, and I don't want you and I don't want myself to be among those companies that fail because of that. So I had a slide for that, but sadly, since I don't have it up here right now, there's this one controversial thing that I have learned about MVPs, which is that MVP, the minimum viable product, is not really a product. It's a process. Because the MVP, like I said before, it's a way to test your most critical assumptions when you're starting up. So whenever you have an idea about what you want to build, you probably have an idea in your mind. Okay, it has these features and it has this and that and that. And then entrepreneurs have this weird feeling weird argument always that, hey, if I know the product I'm building, let me build out these functionalities that I have envisioned, and then I'll ask for feedback, and then I'll improve. Wrong, because the truth is, more often than not, that fully fledged product that you have envisioned in your head is not going to work with your customers. So why would you invest an extra minute or an extra month or, God forbid, a year building out those features, right? So it's not productive to think about MVPs as a product. I think it's much more appropriate to think about MVPs as processes, where you first build out build out something very, very quickly, like at Techstars and at YC and at all the major accelerators. They push founders to ship something bad, but ship it quickly. And I think this speed, that's much, much, much more important than anything else, if it allows you to test your core hypotheses. You know, when you're starting a business, you're making a lot of assumptions. There are many, many assumptions. You assume you know who your users are. You assume you know what they want. You assume you know how they're going to use your product. You assume you know how much they're going to pay for the product. And there's an endless stream of assumptions that you make. MVPs are a way how you can take each assumption by itself and build something in a matter of maximum a couple of weeks, definitely not months, definitely not years, a matter of weeks, to test that one assumption. And then what you do is you find the earliest users that are fine with your product being shitty, but they're fine with that because if your core assumption is correct, core assumption being that there are people with this problem and whose problem I can solve, these are the people that are going to use your shitty MVP, and that's fine. And once you're at that stage with that shitty MVP in the hands of users, of course, yes, that's the base on top of which you will build the rest of your product. Of course, you will get a lot of feedback, you will improve, but what you will find out in this process, you will find out that a lot of your assumptions, the ones that you made before you even started, you will find out that you were wrong about some of them. And it doesn't matter how good you are going to be wrong about some of the assumptions, but the challenge and the opportunity is that you don't know which ones. So that's why it's crucial to build out something very simple, ship it out very, very quickly, and get it in the hands of users, and then learn. And you do that for each of your core assumptions. It's like there's many assumptions, so basically you build an MVP for each one of those. I know what some of you are gonna say. There are always reasons why, hey, my company is different because I know this and I know that, and I've worked in this industry and this and that and that. There are exceptions, of course. There are industries, for example, where an MVP cannot be as simple as in others. So typically, like what I call those difficult MVPs. What I mean by that, I mean that there are industries like very heavily regulated industries like pharmaceutical, banking sector, where there are a lot of extra complexities that are required before you even ship it out to your customers. That's true. If you're in one of those industries, then I encourage you to find a way to ship even like a website or something that is really not really your product, but to test your assumption without ever building any real product. Another difficult MVP category is hardware, where it's quite difficult to convince someone that you can sell electric cars if you haven't built an electric car. So again, maybe a simple website will do to show people that you can and convince them that you can. And another area like this are companies building blockchain solutions. I do add blockchain to the difficult MVP section. Why is that? Because blockchain typically requires more infrastructure work and more complexities in order to get something up and running. So all this work that you and your team is going to invest in building something on the blockchain is just going to be extra work. If that turns out to be useful, great. But I would argue that most companies can deliver MVPs and test their core assumptions without blockchain being involved. Because basically, we made a similar mistake. And maybe I had a slide about like what are our mistakes, and so this is maybe where I can talk a little bit about that. At my company, it's called Monetizr. What we do is we're basically like an e-commerce platform for games. We sell physical products inside games. Our biggest biggest mistakes maybe were very, very typical mistakes. So that's why I'm trying to convey this message so that you don't make the same mistakes. But they were making the product too difficult from day one, so overcomplicating it, including features that some people requested, so we started building them before really understanding whether there's the need. That's one. Two is, which is kind of controversial a little bit, but talking to the right people. What I mean by that is that when we started the company, before any fundraising, before anything, yes, we talked with a lot of customers. We did customer development. We really understood what our customers need. So like 95% of the people that we were talking to were our customers. Then, as we started fundraising, we didn't like mentally switch to fundraising mode. So we were still like, hey, getting feedback. But suddenly, the people that were giving us most feedback were not our customers, but they were investors. So, and I'm not saying don't listen to investors, but just qualify the feedback that you're getting. Because what ended up happening for us, on some level, we started adapting our product towards our investors, not our customers, which is not where you want to go. So that's why critically, always critically think about who is this person and qualify each person who's giving you feedback. My suggestion is just like mentally have multiple buckets. Okay, if this is an investor, great. I'm going to keep that advice, many times good advice, put it in this bucket. Customers, this bucket. Maybe different type of customers, this bucket. And friends, family, a whole different bucket. So it's important to know where is this feedback coming from. Otherwise, you will get lost in the feedback, and you will think that, hey, majority of the people that I'm talking to are requesting this or saying this. So you end up building something that no one really needs. That's not where you want to end up with. So that's another learning. Another learning that not a learning, but a mistake that we made in regards to MVPs was shipping too late, which is kind of a result of overcomplicating the product and, again, getting mixed feedback and wanting to include a lot of things in our early product. Don't do that. That's wrong. And the same goes with blockchain, where when we started thinking about implementing blockchain, it kind of grew from this idea to a solution without necessarily testing each step together with customers. And we ended up having a situation where the requirements to get something up and running on the blockchain were much higher than normally. And in order to meet those requirements, we needed to invest more time. More time means more money. You as a startup, you have limited runway, so you have less attempts at your big goal if you overcomplicate your product. And there are many ways how you can do very simple tests. Yes. So regarding I want to share one story, because like every founder that I've ever met, and again, it doesn't matter whether it's a Techstars founder or some of you guys, founders always try to. It sometimes happens when founders fall in love with their product too much, and they don't fall in love with the category or the customer or the customer's problem, but they fall in love with the product. And what ends up happening is that you start changing the customer, changing the problem, but by keeping the same solution, which is kind of like I think it's kind of like the opposite of what you should be doing, because if you identify that, hey, these customers have this problem, and I have built this, if this doesn't solve the problem, then go change the tool that you built or go change what you built. Don't go around asking, hey, by the way, does anyone need this? So that's just, again, another trap where it's relatively easy to fall into, and it's very difficult to understand that you're in this trap when you have fallen in love with your product. So don't do that until you're really, really sure that your assumptions are correct. And so if I can leave you with something, these 3 things on my slide, which is supposed to be here right now, that number 1, test your assumptions. Very, very simply, just write down your top critical, let's say top 5 most critical assumptions on a piece of paper, and always keep those in mind and keep testing those. If you're correct, great, learn from it, move on, implement those. If you're correct, move on. Most of the time, you're going to be wrong, and that's exactly the point of an MVP. An MVP, again, ship something very, very quickly in a matter of weeks, not months, not years. Ship something that doesn't have almost any functionality except the most critical one. Like, there's this one Techstars founder that comes to mind. Now they're like a multi-million-dollar company in revenue, and they do this like online platform for advertisers. And until they had like a couple $1 million in revenue, they did not build the functionality for the I forgot my password feature. Imagine that, like you're a couple $1 million in revenue, and like when you log in, there's the button, forgot your password. When you click on it, nothing happened. Like that's the type of, that always reminds me that these functionalities are not crucial for the success of your company. This is, as long as you can like manage that and understand that, okay, this is not the core critical thing that I'm testing right now, it can wait. And many, many times there are things, we spend too much time, too much money, too much resources building out those things that we don't need. And that forgot my password button is always a reminder for myself that if it wasn't that important for them, I think I can also live without that. So that's pretty much it. So remember, iterate, test your hypotheses, test with something very, very small, and ship very quickly so that you learn quickly and do not spend more money than necessary. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Sorry for the lost slides.
No worries.
This sometimes
No, this
happens,
was good. This was very pretty.
You did really good, taking
you.
account of
Yeah,
the
like
situation.
This shows the level of preparation. If you can deliver your speech without having your slides, you did really well.
Exactly.
This is what I always say, that you have to prepare so your slides don't work.
Yeah,
so.
for the situation when the slides
I
don't
think
work.
it was you at one of my first Garage 48 events that said the same, very same thing, where you know, if your slides don't work, you still go on with the show. And this was again, see,
And you did
this is
really
how it
well.
works.
You did really well.
Yeah, yesterday I was teaching pitch training at the Future of Food hackathon, and that was exactly the thing we were talking about. So even if there are no slides, you have to be able to explain your idea. If you can't, then you don't have a very good idea. Or
True,
if you can't,
true.
you don't have a very prepared presentation.
Yeah, true, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
You did really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Go on with the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.